They were an eclectic group of young adults who normally would not hang out together. They were called Mystery Inc. or the Mystery Gang. They traveled around the country solving crime for people. Somehow they lived, although we never saw them get paid, and they never really changed their clothes. Of course, we're talking about Scooby-Doo and his friends, a very big part of my childhood. And many criminals would have gotten away with their stuff if it hadn't been for those meddling kids.
Yeah.
Which at the end of every episode, it had that. Mm-hmm. And so what we want to do is understand that this group would normally not have been together. You know, you had Scooby, you had Shaggy, you had Daphne, Velma, and Fred, and they normally wouldn't be together. But when they were together, what happened? They solved crimes. They made things happen. As men, we have to understand the truth behind that. Our leadership is better when we're with people. We're not as strong individually as we are together. And so as men, we have to do things with other men. I'm not saying you're going to live in a van and drive around the country solving problems.
Praise God.
You might. I don't know how you'll pay for that. But if you have a group of guys who are around you, you will be stronger and your life will be better. And it's a big part of how you're going to reach your goals. And we're going to talk about it today.
This is the Thriving Man Podcast with David and Reese Maxwell. These weekly shows are designed to help you remove the confusion from your life and make real progress with your growth. No matter where you are or where you're going, we're here to help you live a life you can be proud of. So welcome to the Thriving Man Podcast.
Welcome to the Thriving Man Podcast, where our goal is to help you get out of survival mode and into living a life you can be proud of. I'm Reese.
And I'm David.
He's also my dad, in case you didn't know that up to this point. And today we are discussing the fourth leg of the chair.
Yes, we are.
The fourth element of making stable goals.
Yep.
We've talked about strategy. Mm-hmm. We've talked about evaluation.
We have.
We've talked about purpose.
Yep.
And now we are getting into the final one.
Yeah.
Allies.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've called it up to this
Yeah.
point. You could also call it a tribe if you want to.
Yeah.
But the fact is, most of us understand that allies can be important.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a war, you got your brothers in arm.
Yep.
If you're on the field, you got your teammates. If you are working at a project at work,
Yeah.
you got people that you're collaborating with to do better thinking than you could on your own.
Yeah.
We used the Scooby-Doo illustration, partially because we thought it was funny.
It was just funny. It made me laugh.
Scooby-Doo,
Yeah.
where are you? So, but we're just trying to point out the fact that allies don't have to just be in a war zone.
No.
They can be in our everyday. And that's really the same case with our goals and with our life in general.
Yeah, and if you want to have a life that's meaningful, if
Sure.
you want to reach goals that make a difference, it's just going to be better with allies.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be better with men who are surrounding you and you're helping them, they're helping you.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are just the aspects that I think a lot of men, they may have the other ones intact and they say, why am I still not hitting my goals?
True.
Well, a lot of men today, they're missing allies. They're lonely.
Yeah, it's true. And what we're doing here is we are combating a cultural idea.
Yeah.
The culture says this: if you do it on your own, you are strong.
Mm-hmm.
John Wayne,
Yep.
shooting up all the other cowboys,
Yeah.
or Liam Neeson single-handedly taking down an entire sex trade
Yeah.
mafia
Yeah.
by himself
Yeah.
because he's got a special set of skills.
Special set of skills.
That's what a real strong man is. If you can't do it on your own, you're weak.
Yeah,
The truth is, it's actually the opposite.
it is.
A weak man is a man who does things by himself.
Yeah.
He's afraid of sharing the credit.
Yep.
He's afraid other people will get the glory. He's afraid of other people seeing the real him. He doesn't feel like doing the hard work of actually having relationships. So he just gives up on it from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us have seen that. Maybe you were in a workplace where your boss was like that. They didn't want to share credit. They didn't give you any freedom. They micromanaged everything you do. And if you did do something good, they took the credit.
Mm-hmm.
That's an example of it. And you didn't think of them as a strong person.
No.
You thought they were pretty weak.
Yeah, or just a jerk.
Yeah, just a jerk too.
Yeah, and so that's is not strength to be that way.
Yeah.
What is strength is a person that recognizes their need for others and other people's need for them.
Yeah.
Think of every actor, every leader, every business mogul, every general. They all dealt with people. Yeah, I mean, you can't be an actor if there's not a director
Yeah.
or a producer or a lighting director or set designer
Yeah.
or script writer or script editor. Like there are
Yeah,
literally
it goes on and on.
yeah, or every CEO has got to have their CFO. They got to have their people who are making recommendations on the future. They got to have a creative team, a visual arts team. Every business has to have that. So if you want to be successful,
Yeah.
not just for yourself, but for the world around you, you got to start collaborating.
Yeah, you got to
gotta
have
get
those
allies.
people around you. And the people, most of the time, who are the most successful understand that. And they
Absolutely.
understand the need to bring people around them who are better at things than they are,
Yes.
recognize that, and let them do what they do well. And it's going to make your life a whole lot better. And we're just saying, bring that to your life, bring that to your goals by bringing allies, people around you who can help you and you can help them.
Yeah. So let's define the word ally. What does ally mean?
Well, the official definition is to unite or connect in a relationship, like a friendship or a marriage. And what we talk about is we're talking about you just having a group of guys around you who are there to help you. You're there to help them. Another common term is a tribe.
Yeah.
And when we say allies or tribe, what we're talking about is people who are there not only for you, but you're there for them.
Absolutely.
And we have to be careful because you can have a tribe or a group of people who aren't good for you, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But when you have one that is good for you, when you have one that helps you, that builds you up, you're going to be a better man.
Yeah.
And you're going to help them be a better man. And
Yeah.
that's what I think so many men don't have today.
I think you're right. And really, the two major movements of this podcast today: how to recognize an ally, and then how to find an ally.
Yeah, yeah,
You got to be able to have those two things down if
Yeah.
you're going to get a good team and be successful with your goals.
yeah,
Because no matter how much self-discipline you have on your own, you can't do it all.
Yeah.
Nobody can. So let's talk about how to recognize an ally. What's one big way to be able to differentiate someone who's going to be an ally for you versus not?
yeah. An ally is someone who really pushes you to be better, and they don't push you to be stupid. We've all had friends we get around and they're not good for us. They cause us to do dumb things. We get around, maybe in high school you had a group of friends and y'all got into trouble
Yeah.
because you were following somebody. Well, that's not a true ally. An ally is going to challenge you to be better. They're not the people who are filming something when everyone's drunk and having some video that goes viral. They think it's funny, but it messes your life up. The drunk idiot videos are fun to watch, but they're not fun to be in. And what you want is someone who's going to challenge you to be better in your life. That's someone who's a true ally because they actually care for you and not what they can get from you or not how they can use you, which is how a lot of people have relationships today. It's all about you use me, I use them. Everybody's using each other and no one has allies.
Yeah. A lot of times we have a group of friends that say just one more in the negative areas.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
one more beer.
Yeah,
Just one more game.
yeah,
Just one more woman. Just one more fill in the blank with whatever unhealthy thing.
yeah,
If they're dragging you down in that way and encouraging you to be less than what you could be,
yeah,
they're not allies. They may be friends, AKA they just spend time around you, but they're not real friends.
yeah, yeah.
So-
And I think for a lot of guys today, the reason they have friends who aren't good for them is they're just lonely.
Yep.
They'd rather hang around people just to have someone to hang around rather than be by themselves.
Oh yeah, it's better than nothing mentality.
Yeah, it's true.
I heard a quote from Cy Rogers, and he said this. He said, "Bad bread is better than no bread at all."
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the reason we do go to unhealthy relationships, unhealthy friend groups, unhealthy people, is because we don't have anything if not them.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
guys, you're worth more than that. You're better than that. And we want you to be able to connect with men that not only don't hurt you, but they can be an asset in your life. That's what an ally is really about.
Yeah, and you want to look at it. You say, well, how do I know? Well, if you spend time with some guys and afterwards there's regret,
Yeah.
or it's caused some major pain in your life, in your marriage, in your family, whatever, if those things are happening, that's probably not the best group of guys for you to be around.
Yeah.
You know, and
If
I
it hurts your
think-
other relationships too, like
Yeah.
healthy relationships.
Yeah.
Like if you're isolating your family to hang with the boys,
Yeah.
don't hang with the boys because your family matters.
Yeah, and what you want to do is those guys who you can still hang with, but they're encouraging you to be a better dad, a better husband. They're not trying to pull you away and say things like, well, who wears the pants in the family and goofy things like that. They're not trying to manipulate you to be one of them. They're encouraging you to be the best of who you are. And so that's what you want to think about.
Yeah. And that really leads us to the second element. So allies don't drag you down.
Yeah.
But not only that, allies build you up. So they do push you. They
Yeah.
do ask you to do one more.
Yeah.
But they push you to be better. They ask you to do one more good thing that
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
like
feel
it's
like
like the
doing.
guy in the gym. You know, we've all been in the gym and you didn't feel like lifting or something, and the guy's like, "Come on, you got one more. You got,"
Yep.
and you know, you do it.
And you do it,
I
yeah.
remember playing football. We would get in the gym and we'd be screaming at each other, "You got this!" And it just there's something about that. You're like, "I can do one more," and so I think we need that in our life. You need those guys who will come alongside you and just say, "You're better than this. You can do this. Don't quit." And that's what we want to look for is those men who'll do that for us.
Absolutely. And let me remind you, these are guys you can have fun with.
Yes.
But afterwards, you're not filled with regret.
Yeah.
Afterwards, you feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we think, oh, if you get allies, if you get a good kind of tribe, every time you meet together, they're going to be like, where are you failing?
Yeah,
How are you
yeah.
getting better? Where are
Yeah.
you failing? How are you getting better? And that's the only topic of conversation. And that's not true. You can have guys who you're messing with each other, having a good
Mm-hmm.
time, laughing, you know, talking about whatever. But then you can also have the hard conversations.
Yeah.
Then you can also challenge each other. It's not just sitting together, being all serious and, you know, trying to always be better every time you have a conversation.
Yeah, and that just fits men. You know, men aren't the type to always go sit in a coffee shop across the table from each other and share their heart. It's just not as natural for us as it is sitting around a grill, you know, grilling meat, doing something, going fishing, going hunting. There's things that men do together that kind of bonds us. And through that bond, a lot of times that's when the serious conversations come out. You can be out, you know, on the deer stand and hey, man, how are you and your wife doing? You know, and then you can be laughing with your friends watching the game, and maybe afterwards a conversation comes up. A lot of times it's just going to happen naturally. You don't have to force it. And that's what you want, friends who you can be naturally yourself with. You can have fun with them, but you can also have the deep talks when you need them.
Yeah. I mean, I think of, we had a small group last year, appetizers and anime.
Yep.
We would
Yep.
eat appetizers, we would watch anime, and then afterwards you just talk. And
Yeah.
we talk beforehand too. And a lot of the times those conversations were not serious. It was like, what character from this show could beat a character from that show?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it was those kind of conversations. But then there were deep ones.
Yeah.
There were talking about marriage, talking about life, talking about growing, being better. Those kind of conversations did happen. And we didn't regret anything afterwards.
No, and it was one of those, it was interesting because you had all kinds of age groups in there. We had high schoolers, we had college age, we had
Young
married.
Parents.
Yeah, and they all connected. And even to this day, because a lot of us go to the same church, when we see each other, there's just a connection. Hey, how you doing?
What's
You know,
up?
We got to
Yeah.
get back together. You
Yeah.
know, everybody talks about we got to watch something together. So we're trying to plan another anime time to get together. And it's one of those things that we had a shared interest, but we became allies through that. And that's what you want to do is find those guys you share an interest with, and you can be an ally with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you have both. It's not an either or.
Yeah.
It's not either have fun or make each other better.
Yeah.
It can be both if you have the right kind of allies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're made for these kind of friendships. I think we all in our heart of hearts want those kind of friendships.
Yeah.
You were talking about the illustration of veterans.
Yeah.
Talk about that real quick.
Yeah, if you look at it, World War II was a short time in history, but the bonds men had from that. There are men who served in that for a year, 2 years, 3 years together, and they made it through. Well, those guys all came back to the States and went to live their separate lives. But the powerful thing is when they would get together at reunions and stuff, it was like they never missed a day.
Yeah.
They were like close to each other. They call each other sometimes. And you hear about the bond of friendship that those guys had. I think there's something that's missing because we don't have that as much today. I'm not saying we have to go fight a war, but you do need to have those experiences with other guys where you get that friendship. These are guys who went through war. They saw each other in the good, the bad. They lost friends together. They had these horrific things happen, but they were bonded, and that bond never went away. They talked about getting together. I read a book recently about a guy, and he said when he and his friends got together, they would just have a ball like they were 19, 20 again. And this was when they were in their 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Because their friendship was so strong.
Yeah. We all want that. We all want those kind of brotherhood people.
Yeah, we do.
And we can get to that place. The point of how to recognize an ally is this. Your friendship should challenge you to be a better man and not just a basic man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the one sentence thing. They don't make you worse and they make you better. So now that we have how to recognize one, let's talk about how to find an ally.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest steps that guys need to recognize if they're like, I want that, how do I get there?
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to understand is finding an ally doesn't happen by accident. It's not going to happen hey, Jim, let's be best friends forever. Like kindergarten, we talked about that recently. It's one of those things that you really have to be intentional about it. It's not just going to happen. Now, you meeting people might be an accident. You might just, let me meet you, but there's a connection there. And if you don't act on that connection, though, it won't happen.
And the place you're at for that random encounter matters.
It does matter.
You're probably not going to have that conversation at a strip club.
Yeah.
You're like, man, seems like you really want to work with your wife well. Like, that's just not that's dumb.
Yeah.
So even when you have chance encounters, a lot of times the place that you're at is a more positive environment where you're going to meet that kind of person.
Well, a lot of people have those friendships from school, from high school, from college. They maintain those friendships forever. But then there's places like church where you can go right now and find friends. You say, well, I go to church and I don't have any friends. Well, when I mean go, I mean get involved, get engaged.
Not walk in, watch, and then the moment that the service ends, sprint out as quickly as possible to get to your car before anyone says anything.
Yeah, another man is not going to tackle you to try and be your friend. You have to act like you want to be there and you want to engage and connect with people, which is part of it. If you want to find allies, you have to be someone who's willing to be an ally for someone else. Having allies is not all about you. It's you being able to pour yourself out to others to say, I want to help someone else. I want to help you live a better life. If you start doing that for other people, they're going to want to do that for you. And that's what allies do. They share strengths. They share that. And you want to put yourself in a place to find those men. It could be through a hobby. You may like woodworking. You get around other guys who like woodworking. It could be sports. I know people who get together, they have season tickets. And every year, every weekend when there's a game, they're tailgating together, they're hanging out, they're forming those alliances with other men and having other friendships.
Absolutely. And when you're looking for those guys in those right environments, you want to think two big things. One, do they share my values?
Yeah.
And two, do they share my interests?
Yeah.
You can have a good ally that doesn't necessarily share a lot of your interests, but does share your values.
Yeah.
But the sweet spot is when it's both.
Yeah.
If you can have the same values and at least some similar interests, Well, now you can connect on both levels.
Yeah,
You can
you can.
connect on not only being better and growing, you can also connect on whatever your hobby is.
Yeah.
So think values and interests.
Yeah, and that's why you really want people who are there in real life.
Yeah, that's true.
Online, you can have friendships online. If you knew someone in the past and you were connected, you can maintain those friendships online, but that's because you have that connection that's together. But it's really hard to have real allies who
Yeah.
you've never authentically met except online, like in a game or something like that. Those aren't bad, but they're not a true ally. Because an ally is someone who can come up to you because they know you, they've been around you, and they're seeing you, and they're like, hey, what's wrong? And you're like, oh, no, I'm good. And they're like, no, you're not. What's up? And they can kind of get that. Why? Because you're close to them.
Yeah.
They know you. And they're the people that you can, connect with at a late night. Hey, I just need to hang out and talk or whatever. They're right there. And so you want to find people who are real. Online is fine for some stuff, but you're oftentimes not going to get that true ally as someone who is maybe on the other side of the world. You only talk when you're gaming.
Absolutely. And we mean this also for ourselves. Like we're coaching a guy right now, and he lives states away. And one of our big things we're going to be talking to him about at this point, we'll probably have talked to him about, is that you need to develop your own support system, your own allies in your world.
Yeah.
Because we're only with him for 4 sessions.
Yeah.
We've only got 4 weeks with this guy.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're trying to help him set a direction that's long term.
Yeah.
But one of the best things to do that is to have a squad of people.
Yeah.
To have those brothers, to have those allies or that tribe or whatever you want to call it. And so we're doing this even for ourselves. We want you to listen to the podcast. We want you to do the coaching and learn all of the things. But this is going to need to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
This is, everybody needs this.
Yeah.
I need this. You need this.
Yeah.
And we got to maintain it. We got to
Yeah.
continually work at it.
And as humans, we're created to be with people.
Precisely.
We just are. It's the way God made us. And so when you isolate yourself, that's problems. We always use the example of the one buffalo that gets away from the herd, or the one
the
deer.
wildebeest.
Yeah, you're watching the documentary and you're like, no. And that's the one the lions
done.
or the cheetahs are going to go after. Same thing with us. If we get isolated and alone, we get weird. We need people. We just do.
Exactly. I think that's so true. It's a good illustration.
It is.
You
The
know,
wildebeest illustration everybody gets.
Yeah. And think of it like this, guys. Every person is going to affect you positively or negatively. There's no such thing as a neutral relationship.
Yeah.
Every person either adds or takes away.
Yeah.
We want to be people that add value to others. Part of staying like that is being around people that add value to us. So to get to the challenge part, to
Yeah.
get to the practicals, how do we recruit allies? How do we get people in our tribe if we don't really have that, or maybe our tribe isn't exactly what it needs to be?
Yeah. To me, number one, just go out and meet other men. Find ways to connect with other guys. Again, there's nothing wrong with online gaming, but you need to meet real people. So maybe you go to a place where they play real games, like a board game cafe or something like that. Or you get together with a group of guys and you go do something together.
Yeah.
Or you go to church, or
Yeah.
you go to a place where there's a hobby, or you get involved in a sport where there's a bunch of guys. You want to do something where you're getting out. Sitting at home, you're not going to find allies.
It's true.
They're not going to come knocking on your door.
Yeah.
Be the one who can do that.
I agree with that. And I love you used the word to get involved. If you don't get involved, all relationships require you to get involved.
They do.
There's a lot of guys that are afraid of getting involved. We're afraid of commitment. If you want to be better, you have to get past that.
Yeah.
You have to get involved.
Yeah.
In whatever it may be, the church. I feel like everybody should get involved in church, but also, those friendships of hobbies, you have to get involved. If, like Dad said, if you stay at home, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I would say is be an instigator in the relationship.
Absolutely.
Don't just sit back and say, well, no one calls me.
Yeah.
No one talked to me. No one invited me anywhere. Okay. Be a big boy and invite other people.
Yeah.
That's what men do. We
Yeah.
instigate relationships. But I've seen guys who, well, no one's ever called me. Okay, go call someone. Be an adult.
Be the person that you wish you had.
Exactly. If you don't have anybody like that, be that for someone else, and then they'll start being that for you.
Yep.
And that's what you want to do. Instigate the relationship. You know, I've told the story before about the guy, he set up a grilling contest between a bunch of guys, mainly so he could get to know them, so he could build friendships with them. Do something creative like that. Find something you're interested in, get other guys who are interested in it, and y'all can connect together.
Absolutely. I mean, that Appetizers anime group that we talked about, that was actually initially just us.
Yeah, it was.
We were hanging out watching Demon Slayer Season 2.
Yep.
And we thought to ourselves at one point, we were like, what if we just turn this into a group? I'm already coming to your house to watch this anyway.
Yeah.
We could just pick a show, get some people together and do it. And it worked great.
It did. It was great.
It's that easy. Now, it takes commitment,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be complicated.
No, we overcomplicate friendships, and a lot of times it's just hanging out, spending time together. One thing that can help you with that is get curious.
Yeah.
Ask guys about their life, about what's going on. Get to know them. Get to know their story. Everybody loves talking about themselves.
Yeah.
They just do. And you can ask questions to say, hey, tell me your history. What were you like in high school? You know, how did you and your wife meet? Things like that. When you start with those simple questions, it's amazing how close the relationship can get by just one person being curious about someone else.
Yeah. And we also recognize you're not going to feel a natural connection with everyone.
Yeah.
So what we're challenging you to do is to get out there, to connect with men that are quality people. That's important. But then lean into the relationships where you do have that natural chemistry.
Yeah.
You do have that natural connection. I think of one of my friends today, one of my greatest friends here in Jackson. We were in a small group, a young adult small group, and there was probably 12 or 14 people in that group.
Yeah.
But we really connected. And so like 2 or 3 of us really connected. And so we're still core friends to this day.
Yeah.
I didn't try and do all 14 people.
Yeah.
I just tried to connect with the few that I really had the chemistry with. And you can have the freedom to do that as well.
Yeah. And when you find those people that you just naturally connect with, again, lean into it. And then maybe with those guys, you could even now say, hey, I'm working on some goals for the new year, some resolutions. What do you think of that? What are you doing? And you guys could build a support system for each other. Hey, I want you to ask me about this every week.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to show you my phone to show you my calories every week, you know.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to tell you how many pages I've read of a book. Whatever the goal is, bring them in on it.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have a goal, don't force them to have a goal. Say, hey, could you help me with my goal by just asking me this question every week?
Yeah.
Most guys will do that for each other. And when you do that, it's amazing how connected you'll be.
Yeah. And if you have like-minded people that you just aren't doing goals with yet, send them this podcast and the past couple. And then y'all can go through those challenge discussion questions together. And as you guys work through your own strategy, you have evaluated yourself, y'all can talk about that and then be able to have a really robust resolution or goal that you can support each other in. Because if I not only know your goal, but I know the why behind your goal.
Yeah.
If I not only know your goal, but I know exactly what you're doing this week to make that goal happen, I can be a much better ally for you than if it's just, I want to lose 10 pounds. How am I supposed to hold you accountable?
Yeah.
How much have you lost? I mean, that's about all I can ask.
That's it.
But if you have a strategy, you have a purpose, and you have given me permission to hold you accountable, dude, that's going to yield so much better results.
Yeah, it's gold.
It really is. So, guys, the whole point of this is we want you to truly thrive. That we didn't just call it Thriving Man because it sounded cool. We're doing this because we want you to get out of the day-to-day grind and into living a life you can be proud of. And that happens with other people. Your New Year's resolutions, your New Year's goals are good. But when you ally with others and you begin to help each other do that, man, that's going to yield a huge impact for you,
no doubt.
Your family, your friends, and even your community and the world. I have to make it dramatic at the end there.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for joining us for this series. we're grateful. We're applying these things to our life. We
Yeah,
were
we
talking
are.
about that a little bit earlier.
we were.
Like, let's talk about purpose for us, you
Yeah,
know, and
yeah.
we're going to keep doing that. So we're on this journey with you guys, and we believe that the best is yet to come for us, because as guys, it's a lifelong learning journey.
It is.
We're
It
all
is.
learning together. And apply this. Let us know in the comments if this was helpful to you. We want to be able to help guys in whatever areas they need. So, you know, if down the road you're like, hey, I need help with this aspect of goals, that aspect, or friendships or whatever, let us know. We want to help you guys with that. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Thriving Man Podcast. If you want to check out more resources from David and Reese, you can go to thrivingman.com. We'll see you in the next episode.